Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Mr. Aycock, you've got the invocation this morning, and Mr. Mayo, you've got the pledge, approval of minutes, agenda. Any changes?
Yes, sir. We do have two things we would like to walk on. One is a resolution or a proclamation proclaiming Opioid Use Disorder Awareness Week. And Dustin Pittman, is Dustin? Yes. Do you want to go ahead? We can have Dustin make the presentation now, or?
Yeah, go ahead and let him do that now.
And then we'll just
and that way you can leave and go to work, and
Yeah.
we'll slide it on into consent agenda.
All right.
What was the other thing you wanted to put?
The other one is a resolution basically listing me as the primary agent for the hazard mitigation grant, and Chip as the secondary agent. Before, Mr. Wood was the primary and I was the secondary. So just that quick change to the resolution, really on the signatures.
Okay. We'll make that number 11 under
Yes, sir.
consent agenda.
And that is all.
Okay. Anything from the commissioners to change?
We're putting those on the consent agenda?
Yes.
And you're taking off one presentation?
Yeah, we are presentation to Ron Baker. That will be removed at this time.
Where's that?
Number 5 under special presentation.
It is number
Oh, okay.
5
Number
under
five. Taking that
special
out.
presentation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does he decide to stay?
We're going to do it next week.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Dustin Pittman. I think I know some of you from my other work. I'm managing partner of Strickland Agner and Associates, but I'm also the chairman of the Wayne County Coalition for Addiction and Life Management. We're an organization that is formed here in the community from community leaders, local government, the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, Department of Social Services, and other organizations that are coming together to say, we have an opioid problem in Wayne County and we need to do something about it, specifically opioids, but substance abuse in general. And so August 31st, there's another nonprofit that's declared August 31st International Overdose Awareness Day. We had an event on City Hall steps last Friday to recognize that, and we're asking that this commission declare this week Opioid Use Disorder Awareness Week. Just to get the word out in the community. We are a new organization formed, like I said, of those different community organizations, trying to get things headed in the right direction in the community to actually address and do something about specifically opioid use disorder. You see some of the statistics in here. The overdose death rate in Wayne County has increased by more than 200% over the last 10 years. In 2018, Wayne County stands number 1 per capita in the state of North Carolina in opioid deaths. And that is a statistic that we should not be proud of and we need to do something to address. As I said, the Coalition for Addiction and Life Management is just trying to get organized. We've been working with the Health Department and the 4-Day Movement for a $150,000 grant that has been approved and is about to be in progress. We're going to send out what are called post-overdose response teams into the community. So in other words, when a report of an overdose comes in, part of what our group will do is send someone to the individual who's overdosed and say, we have services, we can help. If you've got any questions, we're here. If you need anything, we're here in an effort to get those folks on the road to recovery. It's something that we're very excited about and getting moving. We also have a partnership with Lenoir County and Greene County through what's called the 8th District Opioid Crisis Team. Received a $20,000 grant from the UNC School of Government as part of that to also begin addressing programs in the 8th District in general, including Lenoir and Greene County. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything you've got.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You said we had a over 200% increase, but in raw numbers, what does that mean?
I don't have those specific statistics in front of me.
So you don't know what the real number is?
Like I said, I don't have that in front of me, no, sir.
How did you derive it was 200%? I mean, you got to.
We pulled those numbers from the Department of Health and Human Services raw data reports. I believe I actually may have them on my tablet here with me, but like I said, I'm not sure of the actual specifics on how many passed away this year so far. I can tell you that personally, I've had 4 clients that have passed away in 2018 from overdose.
I'm just going to comment. Been going to the OES staff meetings, You see a lot of that, don't you, Mel? Pretty bad out there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank your group and any other group for what you're doing, because this is a major problem. And what are we doing wrong in Wayne County? I mean, we've got to be doing a lot of things right, but I mean, are we doing something wrong, or is it just the nature of the beast? I mean,
In my opinion, it's the nature of the beast. I don't think that we're doing anything right or wrong here in Wayne County yet. If you look across the state and across the nation, this is a problem that is hitting every community. And it's hitting some communities a little bit harder than others, and I think ours is on that list of being hit a little harder, but I don't know that there's necessarily any rhyme or reason to it. We are looking, we're hoping to figure out some type of a answer to that question, but I definitely don't have one right now.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of this is young people. I mean, is that a true statement?
And if I could bring up one of the members of the coalition, Detective Borkos from the Sheriff's Office, my answer to that would be it is across the board. I've seen individuals suffering from opioid use disorder ranging from 16, which is one of the youngest I've seen, up into their 60s. And so I don't think it's definitely a young person's problem. It seems to be affecting everybody, but he sees it more than I do on a first-hand basis.
Yeah, I work at the drug unit on the sheriff's office. I also stand on the board of the coalition. It's a different range. You can get it from 17, 18, all the way up to 45, 50, 60. And to answer your question, we had one Friday night, and his brother died 5 months ago from overdose. So that's just two right there within this year in the same family in Wayne County.
Well,
You asking for your 200%.
and the reason I ask that is anytime we use a percent, it could be 200% of 5 from last year, so whenever you use percentages, it doesn't mean the same thing as if you have the raw numbers. If it was 500 people, or 1,000 people, or if it was 5, I mean, it's all whatever that 200% is based on.
When you get the numbers, they're when the morgue and let's see, when they on their death certificate, what they say how they die is actually don't say it was an overdose from heroin, they'll say from fentanyl, because a lot of the heroin is mixed with fentanyl. So if some of it was just straight fentanyl, it'll be a different on their toxicology report will come back that they died from fentanyl, okay, and not heroin. So those are two different type of ways they died, two different type of substance. So there'll be two different types of statistics right there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, excuse me?
We'll get in on this conversation. One thing also that when you talk about the vast numbers that go across the board, we've seen a lot. It's not just from heroin also, but it's from prescription overdoses that can occur, or they become addicted to prescriptions. And so some of your older people or younger people, either younger people are getting their parents' or grandparents' medications, and now doctors, dentists, people of that nature are cutting back on what they will prescribe as far as opioids because of the addictive rate it causes. A lot of times you may go to the dentist, I know I have, and they might give you 12 tablets, and you may not use them. Well, then they're there for somebody else to obtain, and they do have a good street value if you put them on the street. So there are a lot of parameters in this that are not just heroin, not just illegal drugs, but also from a legal drug perspective of abuse.
And Mr. Powers just let me know that EMS responded to 250 overdoses last year. A lot of those are in public places too, weren't they? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Cromartie and Commissioner Mayo know, sitting on the Social Services Board, how many children we have in foster care because the parents are on these drugs and can't look after them.
Yes, sir.
I was going to I was going to bring that up also. It's a far-reaching effect. It's very costly to the citizens of Wayne County. And it's across the country problem. It's not just characteristic of Wayne County, but DSS and the health department and other departments, just like emergency services, the cost to transport people. All this is contributing to more spending in order to try to bring a solution to this problem. So, Mr. Parker is exactly correct. We've seen a big influx in DSS of this situation. So, I guess we need to start at the basics. We need to start teaching kids in school. Try to bring up people with maybe some different morals. I don't know. It's just a society we live in, but what are we going to do about it? Thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It seemed like after Prince had that situation, and I have read and listened to all the things on TV, but it seems like it became more prevalent that it was happening, or is it that we stopped paying more attention to what was already out there? In 1964, first time I ever saw anything about marijuana was on TV coming out of California. Pretty soon, it was all over the nation. And I always wondered, sure, was it the information about it caused more experimentation? And not that we don't need information about it, we do. But you talk about how did it happen? I've always wondered how anything like that gets started. Is it a basic flaw in human nature, or is it that the more people hear about it, the more they want to experiment with it? We just wrestle with how things get started.
And Mr. Commissioner, from what I have read, from what I've learned, from what I've experienced as a criminal defense attorney, this problem has never really gone away. It's always been underlying society. The severity of it has ramped up in the last few years. I can tell you that just from my personal experience, I don't know that 5 years ago I had very many cases involving heroin or prescription opiates, but now it's a very good chunk of my caseload. And I think that part of the issue that we've had in the community, as the sheriff alluded to, was prescription drugs. Individuals are becoming addicted to these opiate prescriptions, which is not a bad thing. They're being prescribed for the correct reasons. They're taking them as prescribed on the label. But when that prescription runs out, they're not necessarily being given that correct level of care to follow to step down off of those opiates. And so they begin to go to the streets. As the sheriff said, there's a high street value on prescription opiates. But the thing is, if you can't afford to go buy the $12, $13, $15 pill so that you can get your dose for the day, you can buy heroin a lot cheaper. And so that's what's ramped it up. And then we've had, especially here in the last year and a half, 2 years, the individuals who are selling and marketing heroin on the streets are cutting it primarily now with fentanyl, because fentanyl is cheaper for them to obtain than it is for them to obtain actual heroin. And so when they're cutting it with fentanyl, and that's where we're seeing some of this stuff, especially in the media, the fentanyl is so much more toxic, so much more deadly as a substance than heroin is. We've had a couple clients, I've had a couple clients, and I know Detective Borkus can tell a lot more from what he's seen with lab tests coming back from the state crime lab, where someone will have a dose of what they think is heroin. The lab comes back and it says it's 100% fentanyl. And if they would have injected that substance before Detective Borkus and his group caught them, they would be dead. And that's what we're seeing a lot of right now. And that's also something that is, to an extent, as Detective Borkus is going to, skewing these statistics. I believe the overdose rate in Wayne County is significantly higher than what we're able to report here. I think it is massively higher. But because some of those deaths are being reported as accidents, some of those deaths are being reported as fentanyl toxicity, that's not going down in the state statistics as an overdose from opiates. It's going down under a different statistical category. We're not necessarily seeing true statistics and numbers, but that's also something that my group is seeking to help change and help learn. The Department of Health and Human Services has changed the way that they are classifying some of this so that they can get a better grasp on those numbers, but we're still in the early stages of them collecting that kind of data.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. I forgot where I was here. And then we'll have a special presentation. We got employee service pins this morning, and we got 3 retirements. And when we do those, all the commissioners will come down front. And after that, let's see, we've got a presentation from the CEO from Cherry Hospital. Dale Armstrong's going to be here. Then we got a motion to approve Senior Center Month proclamation. And I guess Paula Edwards will be here for that. You said something?
I said she will.
Oh, okay. Any public comments? We don't have any appointments, is correct? No appointments. And a presentation by Withers Ravenel.
Yes,
Anything to add on
sir. Jenny Frizzell will be here. She's been working with us on the Goldsboro Industrial Park. As the board is aware, we've received a $1.785 million grant that will help us look at infrastructure and design and ingress and egress, water and sewer for that park. So she'll give an update on the grant and update on the next steps.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is there a breakdown on that dollar amount of how much of that is for infrastructure and how much of, as an example, how much of that would be water and sewer and how much is design, or is it just all lumped together?
Right now, it's just lumped together. Jenny may have that broken down in her presentation.
Okay.
Okay, under consent, we have the exclusions. They're all in order. We've already looked
Yes,
at
sir.
those. And then budget amendments, there's a number of those, I believe.
Yes, sir. Starting on page 27, we have some more reappropriations for the new year, and those cover numbers 74 through 78 and 84. So that takes you through pages 32 in your agenda packet. Those are all reappropriations for the new year. We good with those? Okay, if there's no questions on those, I'll move it on to page 33. Number 79 is for facility services. They are requesting to reallocate some funds so that they can put a fence around the new facilities shelter. For IT and security, this is requesting to reallocate the salaries, wages, and associated fringes from the OES department to the IT department. For the library, they are requesting to anticipate and appropriate an additional $2,970. They received some LSTA Community Connection grant funds, and this will actually be used to do a public history program on the board and manufacturing. For the library, we have one for $6,900 requesting to reallocate from salaries and wages to extra help. This is to cover some absences that they have due to FMLA, and also a couple of positions that are vacant right now that she is trying to hire. For the Soil and Water Department, they are requesting to anticipate $8,237 of fund balance for some additional salaries and wages and fringes. They have some funds that are set aside. Janice tracks this for us. We do not set aside in fund balance just because, or in a separate fund, because it's a small amount. But this comes out of that money, and the Soil and Water Board has approved the use of that money to go towards these certifications that they've received.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, why wasn't this done when the normal cycle was?
Did not receive notification.
My understanding is they were working with the certification. I think they're working on the certification program, and that's still kind of in process. So they weren't sure how this was going to work, because that certification program, I think, is still being sort of refined. So they didn't want to hold the employees up from receiving the certifications because the policy was not ready yet. So,
Mr. Chairman. It says to cover the certification.
Yes, sir.
So as they attain the certifications, then their salaries increase. Is it?
Right, certain
understanding that?
certifications, that's right, that are to be approved in the certification policy.
So are you saying the certifications came after the budget?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
For the sheriff's office, they're requesting to anticipate and appropriate an additional $21,000 in the concealed carry permit line item. They are requesting to do this so that they can do a digitization of all of their concealed carry and the pistols permits, I believe, so that they can share that information across multiple locations without having to use interoffice and carry them back and forth. For the sheriff's office, they are requesting to anticipate and appropriate additional $71.65 for controlled substance monies. And for EMS, requesting to anticipate and appropriate an additional $202,750. And this is additional Golden Leaf grant funds that was received for the Seven Springs EMS station replacement.
And you said that work's going to start this week?
All permits are in hand. They should be moving dirt this week, yes, sir. That's the last word we have heard.
Hold you to it.
Yeah. Wait a minute. But permits are in hand, but that's what Kendall said, that they should be moving dirt this week.
Yeah, you do own a shovel, right?
I will loan you one.
There'll be dirt moved somewhere this week. Promise. I'll promise that. I'll get Ken,
And we don't care which one, just.
Yes, sir.
And that's all of them, right? Okay, thank you. All right, we've got, come on up, Mr. Gray. Mobile Home Park Edition, and then and 6 as well. So you may just stay up there. Good morning.
The first one is in addition to Herring's Mobile Village with 4 lots. There's an existing street that runs back off of Weaver Road, which is just north of NC 13. And they're adding a small cul-de-sac with 4 lots at the end of that. And just to note, all the property around the 4 lots is owned by Mr. Herring as well, who developed the mobile home park. This is, since it is a mobile home park and it is an addition, it does require it to go to Planning Board, which it has for review, and of course to the County Commissioners for approval. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions?
All right, the next one is Dobbs County Estates. This is Section 2. It is on Dobbs County Courthouse Road, which is a dead-end road right off of Piney Grove Church Road. They are proposing 18 lots, which should be lots 105 through 122. They're looking to do a small cul-de-sac that comes in off of Dobbs County Courthouse Road with a few lots off of that, and then some roadfront lots on the main road itself. There at Dobbs County Courthouse Road. And just to note, when the northern section was done years ago, Dobbs County Courthouse Road was unpaved. Of course, as most of you know, it is paved now. It is a paved street. So the new cul-de-sac will connect in with pavement as opposed to previous phases. But the average lot size here is around 29,316, which is, of course, well above what our minimum lot requirements are. So I'll be glad to answer any questions regarding this subdivision.
Any questions? Thank you, Barry.
All right, thank you.
Okay, after that, we'll have a motion to approve home and community care block grant for older adults.
This is just standard, yes, sir.
Okay. And then approve the engineering for David K. Dixon. Are we ready to do that?
We do. What we would like to ask the board is there's still some minor issues we would like to discuss with W.K. Dixon, but if the board could approve this subject to final approval by the county attorney and the county manager.
Okay. And then we'll have a motion to approve animal control ordinance as presented on the 21st. I wasn't here, so I don't know.
Yes.
It was done, okay.
Could I
Yes.
inquire on that? Since the sheriff's here, Does the officer at Animal Control come under your jurisdiction?
He is sworn under me, but he's actually under emergency management's supervision.
But he's sworn under you?
Yes, sir.
So if in fact there would be any abuses or use of his authority, that would come to you to kind of oversee that?
If it's under the general statutes, they're trying to enforce if that was abused, yes, but if it was actually an ordinance that there was some discrepancy over, I would probably refer that to Mel Powers.
Okay. There seems to be some concern related to the officer's powers, so to speak, and who is in direct supervision of that. In fact, I believe there's going to be an article in the newspaper regarding this, so I'm trying to get some clarification beforehand. And they are specifically questioning whether or not he is sworn and under the direction of the sheriff.
Well, there are two different ways of looking at it. If you're looking at the general statutes, if they're enforcing general statutes, they have to be a sworn officer.
Correct.
If it's a county ordinance type situation, I don't know that they have to be sworn.
They don't have to be sworn, and that would be under the direction of Frank Sauls, who is our animal control or animal shelter director.
Okay. But there are controls in place.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I think that's the
direct
primary.
oversight from both sides. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Frank is, I'll just say, Frank is sworn officer.
He is.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make a suggestion or comment. The information that Mr. Daugherty has got, since you think there is going to be something in the paper, you may want to share it with the sheriff and Mayo and Mr. Parker so there'll be heads up on it.
Right. Okay. Good enough.
Okay. And of course, we added 10 and 11 to that already. We've already talked about that. It was in a hazard grant. New business about the mobile device policy.
Right. We have been working, and I really want to appreciate the work that Noel Woods and also Ryan Preble have done with respect to bidding, or really not bidding out, but really looking at the contracts that we do have and making sure that we're getting the right and the best cell phone coverage that we can. So we're recommending changes to the policy. We're recommending changes to our vendors. So we can go over that now, or do you want to go over that during?
How quickly do you think you can do that?
There may be some questions, so it may be good for regular session.
Wait,
yeah.
They don't need to wait. Okay, we'll wait. Okay. Then we'll have a video by the Public Affairs Office, and then we'll have a presentation on the launch of the Wayne County marketing campaign. And I'm guessing that you're going to do that?
Yes.
I thought so. Of course, comments, and we do need a closed session. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Are you going to try to go in now? Okay. One, to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of businesses in Wayne County and to consult with an attorney employed to preserve attorney-client privilege.
Is there a motion to go in closed session? Got a motion on the floor, any discussion? All those in favor?